Thank you. The chair recognizes Mr. McCormick for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Thank you all for being here. You know, innovation's the driver of economic growth, and you know, we've all lived through waves of innovation in the United States with everything from the internet to 5G to artificial intelligence. Digital assets and blockchain are the next big wave. It creates enormous opportunity for all of us, and particularly in Pennsylvania. And it's our job as policymakers to create an environment where that innovation can thrive, while at the same time protecting consumers along the way. And I saw this firsthand as the CEO of a software company in the late 90s in Pittsburgh, where it was sort of a go-go world, and we didn't have that certainty. So it's critical that Congress must pass meaningful legislation. I appreciate the Chairwoman and Chairman Scott's commitment to this task. I want to talk about international competitiveness, because in the absence of U.S. leadership, other major jurisdictions are rushing ahead, as you've said in your testimony. We risk having our entrepreneurs moving overseas because of those existing frameworks. So, Mr. Yakum, I'd like to start with you. Could you discuss how innovators in the United States, in specific terms, are disadvantaged due to the development of regulatory regimes in other jurisdictions?
Thank you for the question, Senator. The lack of regulatory certainty in the U.S. has absolutely impeded investment and growth. And that's businesses like ours who operate as centralized intermediaries. That's businesses like developers, project teams, protocols that have operated without clear guidelines as to the legal status of what they're building. You cannot run a business like that. I think what we've seen primarily in Europe, but in other major G10, G20 markets, is efforts to put step one in place, basic foundations that provide regulatory clarity for secondary market transactions and centralized markets. There is no question that there are many other issues to explore and that we will have to continue to explore. To my colleague, Mr. Massett's point, let's also learn lessons from our legislative past here with the swaps reforms. The toughest part about that was not domestic implementation. It was rationalizing the cross-border market access framework. And we run a global business. If we want to get this right, the U.S. needs to move forward with this market structure bill, get a seat at the table, and work with their counterparts to develop a clear international framework.
Thank you. Mr. Cohen, we talked about the threat of litigation and how that curtails investment. Could you say a bit more about that? How do innovators think about that threat of litigation, and what are the implications?
Thank you, Senator. As someone in private practice, that is one of the very first questions that our firm gets. If we endeavor to take this innovative technology forward, what is our litigation risk? And it's a constant threat and concern. It was both on the civil litigation side and also from regulators, particularly those who took overly aggressive stances. It made it very difficult for entrepreneurs here in the United States to start businesses when they had the threat of overhang of litigation. And I think Senator Moreno made the point, you're driving on a highway and nobody tells you what the speed limit is until after they pull you over. And that was the feeling that many of our clients had around the risk of litigation. They simply did not know when they were crossing a line. And as a lawyer in private practice, it's very frustrating for us not to be able to give that advice to our clients.
Very good. Thank you. Ms. Mazzari, just one quick last question. One of the benefits of stablecoins is U.S. dollar dominance, because stablecoins are largely denominated in the U.S. dollar. Can you talk about that in a little more specificity on how the evolution of stablecoins can be a real force for good in terms of dollar strength?
Thank you for the question, Senator. I think actually today, and we see this in how stablecoin issuers often talk about their products, I think they think of stablecoins as a way for those outside the United States who don't have U.S. bank accounts and so on and so forth to have access to the U.S. dollar in new ways. And I think that's really, one aspect of dollarization. I don't think it fundamentally changes how much demand outside the United States there are going to be for dollars, but certainly stablecoins are an easy way for a lot of consumers outside the United States, whether it's businesses or individuals who want to make payments, to hold and use dollar value.
Very good. Thank you, Madam Chairman. I yield the remaining time.